Hi, Kylie here and welcome to my plan with me for October 2024. So this month we're doing mushrooms as the theme with fairies as the sub-theme. And I had two words that I was tossing up between for this month, but we've made that decision. You'll notice that's a very empty page for the cover page. It's because we're doing a pop-up. I previously did mushrooms as a pop-up in February 2022. So I decided to do a very different design for this year, or for this bullet journal, for this month, however we want to talk about it. But yeah, so that pop-up is actually available for people to download. So if you subscribe on my website, kyliedunn.com, there's a whole heap of freebies, and one of them is the mechanics of that pop-up and the actual scanned-in image of the painting. And you can download it, cut it out, or print it, cut it out, and make your own pop-up. Anyway, so colourways is the word that we're looking at for this month. And it's basically the scattering of memories your brain is actively forgetting at any moment, erasing them one by one with no input from you and no knowledge that it's happening at all. And I really like this word because I think that this definitely is something that goes on. I like to think of it as like a little person sitting in there going, do we want this? Nah, throw it away. Okay, what about this one? Nah, throw it away. What about this one? Yeah, that was embarrassing. Let's keep hold of that forever. So yeah, it's quite a fun sort of word to think about. All right, so we're in the first week layout. Remembering that, of course, we'll do the title at the end because pop-ups put a lot of thickness in and it disrupts the drawing, so I don't do it till the end. This page, I've got on the left-hand side just a pair of mushrooms. They're quite a high, sort of really rounded cap mushroom with a thick base. And on the right-hand side, I've got a very large topped mushroom on a very thin stem, which I don't think would be actually possible. But I'm not drawing for reality, I'm drawing for things that I find aesthetically pleasing. And the mushroom on the right-hand side has a snail on top of it because I don't know why, I just sort of thought I'd draw some snails into this as well. Who knows? My brain's just random sometimes. Okay, so I guess elephant in the room. I sound very unlike myself, which is because I've had COVID, and this is the reason why this video is also a little bit late. This is the first time I've had COVID, so I've been able to stay COVID-free for over 4 years, but finally succumbed. I did a workshop and I felt like I should be wearing a mask, but I didn't wear a mask and I came home with COVID. So there you go, which is, sort of threw a spanner in the works of me getting this done on time. And I've also coughed myself quite hoarse, which is why my voice sounds a little bit different this month. But yeah, it's also why I'm going to sort of speed through some of this and there might be some silence because I'm on the verge of coughing again. This is how my life is going right now. All right, the second weekly layout on the left-hand side, we've got a mushroom, like a wide-capped mushroom with a fairy standing underneath it, staying out of the rain, which is falling down beside her, and 3 little mushrooms on the side of that. On the right-hand side, we've got... And honestly, I do not know the names of any mushrooms. I just do not. So for those of you who do know, you're probably going to be annoyed. But anyway, the mushrooms that are long, thin stems that are just small balls of mushroom on the top. So I've got a cluster or a clump of those with a snail sort of sliding on past. Like I said, I don't know why I decided to draw snails this month. I never draw snails. There you go. So I made the mushroom on the left-hand side quite bright. It's one of the bright blues. I'm using my Decadent Pies watercolour set for the majority of all of this. So all the mushrooms are done in that sort of colour palette. But then for the fairies, I have one called Vintage Pastels. And I don't know why, but I decided all the fairies were going to be pastel coloured. So I've painted them, their bodies and their wings are the same colours. I just, most of the time I'm removing a bit of colour from their wings so that they're a little bit more transparent or translucent. So yeah, that's basically how that's working. Slight gap there for a cough. And now we're into the third week. On this page, we've got a quite a high sort of cap mushroom, so quite sort of ovally, and a flower, which is a little bit more of an ornate flower than I normally sort of draw, with a fairy standing underneath it with her arms up in the air. On the right-hand side, we've just got a bunch. What is a group of mushrooms called? I'm calling them a bunch. A collection of mushrooms that are all the same sort of mushroom, all clumped together. And again, they're like more of the ovally topped mushroom. And yeah, so painting those again in sort of a bit of a muted palette, the mushrooms on the right-hand side, putting a little bit of a green tint into sort of the brown colour that I've been using. And then on the left-hand side, the fairy has been painted in a sort of a very pastel aqua-y colour. The mushroom is a little bit of a brown, but it's a slightly different brown to the other ones I've been using. It's quite, I don't know. It's got a slight purpley tinge to it because it's actually been made with blue and red mix. So September was a very busy month, which ended in me going down for the count for a little bit of time, which hasn't been overly helpful because I have a hell of a lot of deadlines that I'm trying to meet at the moment. But yeah, this is just the way life works and this is how it goes. We're into the fourth week layout, and this one I turned a mushroom into a little house. So on the left-hand side, it's a mushroom with a sort of knobbly sort of cap with a door and a window in the base, and then like a dormer window in the cap of the mushroom and like a stovepipe chimney. On the right-hand side, you've got, I guess, what most of us think of as the traditional mushroom. So sort of the round cap with the white spots on it type mushroom with three fairies dancing around underneath it. So look, it was a busy month. I knew it was going to be a busy month. October, I think, is going to be just as busy with client work and the deadlines that I still have left to do. But yeah, so it'll be another busy month, but you know, we're sort of sliding into the end of the year, and I know that things always start getting a little less hectic for me around December and January. So I'm looking forward to that sort of for this year, and I hope that it does the same as it normally does, because I could really use a bit of a break. My health has been questionable in the last couple of months, and yeah, I would just really like to have a bit of a break to work on some of the things I want to play around with, and just actually not think for a little while would be nice. But anyway, this is where we are. So for the last week, because it's not a full week, what I decided was I just wouldn't put a drawing on the layout page, and I put a drawing on the bottom of the reflection page. And because this is Halloween, I decided that I'd draw a little ghost heading up a path that's been lit up buy mushrooms, up to sort of a bit of a, I don't know, creepy old witch house, let's call it that. And, you know, a couple of trees up in there as well. And it's got a little trick or treat saying above it. So, yeah, I just decided I'd do something a little bit Halloween-y. Why not? It is coinciding with Halloween, so that's what it is. This I sort of painted in a bit of a darker palette because it's supposed to be like nighttime. But, yeah, I'm not quite sure. I should have painted the mushrooms slightly lighter in colour, given that they are lighting up the path. I did sort of put a golden glow around the edges and that sort of thing to make it look a little bit more like it is lighting things up. But I don't know that it quite came out the way that I wanted it to. But hey, again, this is my journal. This is the place that I play with colour and different bits and pieces. So I don't expect it to be perfect. I don't expect it to come out perfect. And yeah, it's part of my art practice. So there you go. So I hope that you've all had a nice September. It's one of those things that it worries me that I don't spend a little bit more time talking about what's going on in the world and how I feel about it all and everything. But I try to keep this as my happy place because, quite frankly, thinking about the world and what's going on depresses me to all hell. And so I do sort of try to keep it out of these videos. But I really wish the world wasn't the way it was at the moment. And I hope that you're all staying safe and that you're all staying, sane, as sane as you can, and that it's not getting you down too much. There's only so much we can affect ourselves as individuals, so do the things that you can and forgive yourself for not being able to do more about it. All right, we're on the pop-up. So this is the pop-up image. You won't see me drawing it because I did draw it the other week. Oftentimes I don't show myself drawing the actual mechanics of the pop-up. It's just something that happens. I don't know why, but it does. So you can see it's basically, so it's another mushroom and fairy scene because that's the theme. So there's two of what I was referring to as the big traditional mushrooms. So big rounded tops with sort of like the fleshy sort of underneath that we, sort of is all segmented out. They'll be painted red and they've got white spots. Then I've got two sort of elongated capped mushrooms in the middle of those that I've painted in the very bright blue that I have in this set. I've got three very flat top mushrooms on the left-hand side, one of which has a fairy sitting on it, and there is some ferns and flowers over with them as well. And then on the right-hand side, there are three small little green mushrooms, and there's a fairy flying over the top of those. So that's sort of like the middle scene that will pop up in the centre, and it's the main mechanism. And then attached to that mechanism will be two fairies that I have drawn. One's sort of standing or walking, holding a basket with some flowers, and then the other one is dancing with a flower beside her as well. So, yeah, I'm just going to mute myself and cough, and you can just watch what I'm doing. All right. So now everything's painted and I just have to sort of put it all together. So I've already put the double-sided tape on all the mechanisms. So main mechanism goes in. It's really quite easy, this setup. These little risers will lift up the little fairies in the front, so they don't have, sort of any tension in themselves. It's these little rectangles that will pull them up when the rest of the mechanism lifts up. I then decided that it was just looking way too plain if I just put that in, so I decided I would put in a background, effectively a base, for them to come off. Put in some green, so grass, and then just put in spots all around. So the spots could be flowers, they could be mushrooms, they could be, I don't know, different grasses or those sorts of things as well. But just putting a little bit of texture and interest into that foreground, if you like, just to make the page a little bit more interesting. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this one came out. Some of the pop-ups don't come out as well as I would hope, but this one looks pretty much like I was thinking it would. So yeah, pretty happy with that. So here is my bullet journal for October, the pop-up, my word for the month, then week 1, 2, 3, 4, and the reflection page. I hope you've enjoyed this month. I'm sorry that I've been really croaky, and hopefully I will sound much better at the end of October for November. Have a great month. Bye.